Hi everyone, great news. The United States is going to continue to back Saudi Arabia while they commit genocide in Yemen. Does that make you proud? I'm fucking disgusted. Um, Bernie Sanders, along with two other senators, one of which was a Republican, had put forward a resolution, SJ Res 54, and I quote, "This joint resolution directs the President to remove US armed forces from hostilities in or affecting Yemen, except those engaged in operations directed at Al Qaeda within 30 days." So, what this resolution would have done is just saying, listen, we haven't had a vote on whether we're going to actually help in this war. We are we're either going to have a vote to stay, we're going to stay in and support this war, or we're going to pull out. Now, to me, that sounds fine. That sounds level-headed. The president shouldn't have that power. He should have to, obviously he should react if ever there was an attack on his country, but he should have to face some sort of vote down the line. But obviously, George Bush put a stop to all that. Thanks very much, George. Bernie Sanders has come out with a statement since. Um, it didn't even get to a vote, by the way. This didn't. It was tabled. So can somebody explain to me why they have a vote as to whether there's going to be a vote or not? Why don't they just have a vote? So they had a vote as to whether they were going to have a vote, and they voted not to have a vote. I know that is anyway. I'm sure there's a reason why there's that motion to table in the details, but for the life of me, I can't think of it. Anyway, Bernie Sanders says, "I am deeply disappointed that Congress has once again abdicated its constitutional responsibility to authorize war. Time and time again, Congress has sat back and failed to ask the hard questions as various administrations have misled us into conflicts, including Vietnam and Iraq, with disastrous consequences. The Saudi-led intervention in Yemen with US support has been a humanitarian disaster. Instead of supplying bombs and refueling capabilities, we should be doing everything possible to create a peaceful resolution to that civil war and provide humanitarian help." I have been a critic of Bernie Sanders in the past on his perceived, or at least my perceived weakness of his on foreign policy. This he's rock solid on. It's absolutely correct what he said there. Um, and he didn't even get a vote. We'll see whether he still has that strong stance when it comes to any dealings with Israel and Palestine. We'll put that to the back burner at the moment. We'll concentrate on this Yemen. So what exactly is happening in Yemen? It doesn't go back that far. It only started in 2011 when there was an Arab Spring. As a result of this Arab Spring, the president at the time, and if I get any of these names wrong, I apologise. His name was Ali Abdullah Saleh. Had to hand over power to his deputy Mansour Hadi in 2011 because um, the Arab Spring was basically causing him problems and forced him out. President Hadi, who took over from him, struggled to deal with the variety of different problems, including attacks by Al Qaeda, poverty, corruption, jobs, food insecurity. Some of his military officers were loyal to the previous president, and basically it was a nightmare. And this is in 2011. In the years between 2011 and 2015, the Houthi movement, which champions Yemeni Shia Muslim minority, so these are Shia Muslims, fought a series of rebellions, who had fought a series of rebellions against the previous president, then all of a sudden came out in support of him. It was an absolute clusterfuck, basically. And there was war in the country between 2011 and 2015, a civil war, and people died as a result. And, the people are starving. There's no education there. There's, the hospitals are crumbling, that sort of thing. So it's an absolute nightmare. That's before the Saudis started bombing them. So then the Saudis start bombing them because they say, oh, the Shia Muslim, these Houthi Shias are being supported by Iran, and obviously the Saudis are Sunnis. So that's what it all comes back down to as well, this Shia-Sunni rivalry in the Middle East, of which the UK and US just go in and support and say, yes, we'll support you bombing. It's not right. It's not right. civilians are being killed here. Innocent people are being killed. Um, the current statistics are at least 10,000 civilians have been killed as a result of these bombs since 2015. This is without the 4 years before, where they were in the midst of civil war. 1.5 million refugees have been displaced. So that's another 1.5 million refugees that America won't take in. And over 1 million people in Yemen have contracted cholera. So yeah, it's a bit of a mess there at the moment. To give you some idea of the sort of strikes and attacks America and the UK are supporting, I'm going to give you this. It's only a minute long or something like that, this clip is, but this will give you some idea as to just what the civilians in Yemen are going through at this very, very moment. This was from October 2017, this happened. Take a look. So there you go. Just in case you didn't know and didn't realise what you were watching there, what you were watching there was not the first bomb hitting, that was the second bomb hitting. That bomb hit 67 minutes after the first bomb that hit that funeral. The reason they targeted that funeral was because the funeral was for a Houthi rebel, and they thought some of his friends might be there, who were also Houthi rebels. Didn't matter that there were hundreds of civilians and children that went there, didn't matter, they dropped the bomb. What you saw was the second bomb hitting 67 minutes later. That is known as a double tap. And that is a fucking war crime. You're not allowed to do it. And the reason you're not allowed to do it is because if you hit the same target an hour later, you're going to be hitting emergency services and you're going to be hitting people who are helping the wounded and the injured. That is a war crime that on tape, that is a war crime. On video evidence. And fuck all is said about it. Nothing. I'm really angry that this motion has been tabled in America. I was really looking forward to finally just a small win, just a little win, just to say, okay, there's progress being made. But no, some Democrats must have voted for it. I'll find out who they are and I will publicly shame them. I don't really know where to go from here, other than the press are no fucking help, as usual. The BBC did a report. I'll put it up here if I can find it, and down there. It was a few months ago that I was disgusted with on the cholera epidemic. They were saying how 1 million people had been displaced in the war-torn country. There was no mention in the article of who the war was with. The only mention of Saudi Arabia was in the map that they put at the bottom of the article to say this is where Yemen is. And there's no mention that the UK are supporting that war. That's the BBC. This is the BBC. This is the BBC that my American friends tell me, oh, we like the BBC. They're unbiased. No, they're not. The BBC are very biased. Very, very biased. I will leave the link down below. Have a read of it. You'll be disgusted. Since the bombing has started in 2015, so since the Houthis took over control of the whole country in 2015 and the Saudis got involved, because the Houthis are Shias and the Saudis are Sunnis. Since then, £6 billion has been spent by Saudi Arabia to the UK. The UK has made £6 billion in arms sales to Saudi Arabia in the last 3 years. £6 billion. That's probably what, well, it says here £600 million profit. So that's near as damn it $1 billion profit. Or getting up to $1 billion profit in 3 years. From, as you just saw in that video, war crimes. This was from Fair, which is written, edited by Adam Johnson. If you don't know who he is, I'll leave a link to his Twitter down there. He's excellent. He really is a great reporter. He reports for fair.org. And he says MSNBC's coverage of the US-assisted bombing and siege of Yemen is virtually non-existent, as you would expect. In the year 2017, so that's the whole year of 2017, MSNBC ran only one segment that focused on the US's role in Yemen. One in 12 months. And none in the last 6 months of 2017. And none so far in 2018. We'll see whether they actually do a segment after today's motion being tabled. But they're just not covering it. And it goes back to what I've said before in previous videos. It's not that the mainstream media or the corporate media, as I'm trying to call them, are lying to us. They just don't tell us the truth. They don't just give the American citizens and the British citizens all of the facts. They just don't do it. It's a lie of omission more than anything else. This is getting to be ridiculous now. It really is. We've got to stop regime change wars and supporting them. This is not our war. It's not our war. It's nothing to do with us. You know, we are fighting on the same side in this war as ISIS and Al Qaeda, for fuck's sake. We're meant to be fighting against them and we're on the same side. And then you cross the border into Afghanistan and we're fighting against them. There's no end game to any of this. It's just perpetual war. I heard a saying not long ago, and it made me laugh because it was so true. Bombing for peace is like fucking for virginity. What is the end game here? Do they think all of a sudden we get rid of the Houthis and the place is going to be an oasis of peace and tranquility? Just look at Libya, for Christ's sake. You know, it's an open-air bloody slave market Libya is now. And that was one of the most advanced countries in Africa before Gaddafi was deposed and had a bayonet shoved up his anus. We've got to get these people out. We've got to get these senators out. Really, America, I'm putting my trust, because the people of America I know are great people, but these people who are in power in America need voting out, and it's nothing to do with a blue wave or anything like that, or vote blue no matter what. Bollocks to that. Get the people in who won't support war like this. Get the people in who don't take money from the military industrial complex, who don't take money from Wall Street and the people who profit from this war. Because otherwise, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. I'm sorry this was a really depressing video, but I'm quite upset about this, as you can probably tell. I was hoping that this was going to be a win, and it wasn't. So hopefully on the next video, there'll be a win to talk about, although I won't be holding my breath. Thanks very much for watching. Please subscribe, please hit the bell so you get a notification. People are being unsubscribed all the time. I know people are saying it all over, but it's true. We need your help to continue. If you can, please support me on Patreon. Support me on Twitter, and I'm on Steemit as well. So I'm on Steemit and DTube for those of you who want to watch my videos there. Thanks very, very much for watching, and until next time, and I really mean this after this video. Peace.